in Concord are actually staffed 3 days a week. And 2 days in months.
You know I'm not.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to call the Board of County Commissioners to order for the regular meeting for April 18th, 2023. Please stand and join me in pledge of allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Do we have any additions or edits to the agenda?
We do, under item number 4, and please remove Hugh Sandberg's name for point consideration of Board of Adjustment. And then under Commissioner business, please add item number 6. This would be a resolution designating project director and approving the grant agreement for the Blake Field. This came in Friday after the agenda had been posted and does have a timeline necessitate that you all take action before the next Board of County Commissioner meeting.
So noted, thank you. The agenda will be approved as amended there. We're going to open it up for constituent time. At this time, anybody who'd like to address the board is more than welcome. We'll ask you to come forward, make sure that mic is on, and introduce yourself and where you're from. Scott Schabel, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for coming. Mr. Supis, you're looking older than the last time I saw you.
Every day, buddy, every day. Is that red light on that microphone?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I think it is.
Yes.
Want to thank you first for the access to the river. Outstanding. It's fantastic. And as a rafter, I'm really appreciating that. Dan Roman up at Stand Up Paddleboard is excited also. So thank you so much. Really came out nice.
Very good.
You don't have intentions of paving it, or do you?
No, there's no intention to pave. We're still working on, we're gonna get a little shade structure built there in that center there. Work on some signage. The West Slope Conservation Center is gonna go out and plant some native shrubs and stuff around the wet area. We still got some brush piles to burn that were too wet this winter. But
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, it's just about there.
Looks nice. It's natural looking. I was hoping you wouldn't pave it. That's why I was asking. I'm actually here to speak about planning. And now that things have seemed to settle down, I've waited to come in and just share some thoughts with you all. I've been here before in regards to it. About well, I would put it last September, and I'll get you back up to speed with that and why I was here in just a minute. Regulations, rules and regulations are just a fact of life. It's often a hard pill to swallow. However, what makes it more palatable is how they're administered, how they're administrated. And for me, my experience was poor. And that's the best I can come up with as far as our experience went. It was very poor. It's oftentimes in administration and with local government, it's hard to understand the mentality sometimes behind it. The mentality that I felt was one of contempt, or a contemptuous sensation that we got when we were planning a project last summer for 3 RV carports to go up next to our home in a separate lot that we own. When we went through to see where we were in zoning and what zone it was and how it was zoned, it was pretty straightforward that we were good to go. As it was written and how it was interpreted, it was very easy to interpret. We liked that part. There was a chart. From there, it just went downhill. It was an issue of a no-brainer to a painful process. We were told we didn't have a legal address. The placard was right there with the numbers on it. The ingresses that we had were of great, came into great concern and weren't legal. They've been there, I'm sure you guys heard this one before, they've been there since the 50s. They wanted environmental survey, water impacts, traffic study. Having to pay $100 to see if it was even doable was very insulting. Why not be a little bit more helpful? Why not the community resource director make it a little bit easier to understand? Not changing the rules, just easier to understand why you're in a zone where you hardly need to have approval for, and what you were intending that property to do was the least intrusive of anything that you could put there. We made sure that the carports were, blended in with the environment with the right colors. They were just carports. And you could park RVs in them. Make a little cash flow is what the intent was. The application packet was overwhelming. It showed us as being in a zone where it was set up for slaughterhouses or a lumber mill. When the first meeting, I can't remember what the pre-evaluation meeting is called. I don't have that technical name in my mind, but familiarity is fine in a community. We need to have that. It helps us grow. It helps us come a little bit closer in understanding our lives. But there was another contemptuous attitude there when someone brought up the idea that there was a previous, not an idea, but a previous event that took place with the neighbors. That was brought up. And it was brought up in such a way that was sarcastic. I guess to get it to the bottom line is this. How about some helpful, thoughtful attitudes that don't look at the community members with contempt? See, it's really not about the rules. It's about how you administer the rules. That's where the point was missed. And I went to one of the meetings when, the sheriffs had to show up there to make sure there wasn't fights. I walked out of that. I love a good fight. but I walked out of it because I knew the immaturity and the ignorance that was in there was not going to solve anything. And the real point was missed. The real point was how you're going to be treated after you swallow that awful pill. Zoning and planning takes place every county, in every state, all over the United States. It's just a fact. Rules and regulations are part of life. Why make them so hard? Why have leadership, and I'm not going to even say the name, I'll say the title, the Community Natural Resources Director. Okay.
Mr. Schwab, I do need you to summarize here pretty quick.
That's it. We need to change that.
So,
Thanks for the time. I appreciate you so much.
we appreciate your input.
Yep,
Okay, and I don't want to cut you short,
not a problem.
but
Thank you for the time you gave.
and thanks for being here.
Yep.
It's important.
Thank you, Scott.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak today? Mr. Cloward, you indicated you did not? Okay. Anybody online?
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Evelina Baida from Crawford. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Go ahead. Evelyn.
Okay, thank you. I had a question. So we're still concerned about the State Bill SB 23-213. And it sounded like you were meeting with other county commissioners in the state about this. Are men and women of our county going to be updated about the conversations and the progress of it, and also the stance of our county commissioners on it? And then also I was curious about the works on the land use code for our county. It sounded, I mean, it looks like there's no meeting scheduled or work session scheduled. So I was wondering if we could find out a little bit more about this.
Did you want to take it?
Yeah, Evelyn, I'll address the bill that's in the House. I believe it's in the House currently. CCI, which is the State Board of County Commission or state organization that all the counties belong to, took an opposed position on this bill. There was a push for amendments. There's, you know, the state legislature is getting a lot of pressure from the governor's office to pass this bill. There's very few entities around the state that even think it's a good idea, and yet they're still pushing it forward. The current attitude within the state legislature is so left-wing that they're not even being reasonable on local control issues. So hang on for a bad bill that's going to pass, I'm afraid. The amendments that are trying to get done on it are probably not going to be enough to fix it. Luckily, at least for counties, it's not going to have as many regulations or the things that the counties have to abide by, but it will have a huge effect on municipalities. So, but I would imagine that we'll see something next year that will have this kind of effect on counties.
Thank you for your update. Is there anything we can do as citizens?
You know, call your senators and representatives at state level and tell them to not stop being so Denver centric and start thinking about the locals. You know, our local representatives are pretty good, but you know, there's a lot of representatives that live along the I-25 corridor that don't even know that rural Colorado exists. So.
Right. Well, thank you.
Evelina, to your second question, our next land use code work session is Friday, April 28th at 1 o'clock in the Board of County Commissioners room. That may change based on HB 123.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So, anybody else like to speak before I close constituent time? Very good. County Clerk, Mrs. Stevenson.
Good morning, board. How are you this morning?
Good morning.
Good.
I have the minutes for the April 4th, 2023 Board of County Commissioners regular meeting. I do have an amendment on page 1. Are there any other changes, corrections, or deletions?
I have none.
Look good to me.
Very good.
Thank you. I also have application for special event permits for American Legion Wilson Head Post number 97, located at 40772 Lamborn Mesa Road in Bayonia. These events are on May 20th, 2023, June 30th, 2023, July 1st, 2023, and October 28th, 2023, from 4 p.m. till 2 a.m. These are annual ones that American Legion usually does, and the sheriff has had no issues with the Wilson Head Post in any of their events. At this time, I would recommend we approve the special events permits.
Any questions or comments here, commissioners?
I'll move that the board approve the special events permit for the American Legion Wilson Head Post 97 as presented by the clerk. Authorized chairman to sign.
I second that.
Any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So done.
Thank you.
That brings us to commissioner business. Our first order of business here is a proclamation to proclaim April 23rd through April 29th, 2023 as National Library Week. And I'm going to go ahead and read this proclamation. It gives me great pleasure to do so. National Library Week 2023 proclamation. Whereas libraries provide the opportunity for everyone to pursue their passions and engage in lifelong learning, allowing them to live their best life. Whereas libraries have long served as trusted institutions for all members of the community. Whereas libraries strive to develop and maintain programs and collections that are as diverse as the populations they serve and ensure equity of access for all. Whereas libraries adapt to the ever-changing needs of their communities, continually expanding their collections, services, and partnerships. Whereas libraries play a critical role in the economic vitality of the communities by providing internet and technology access, literacy skills, and support for job seekers, small businesses, and entrepreneurs. Whereas libraries are accessible and inclusive places that promote a sense of local connection, advancing understanding, civic engagement, and shared community goals. Whereas libraries are cornerstones of democracy, promoting the free exchange of information and ideas for all. Whereas libraries, librarians, and library workers are joining library supporters and advocates across the nation to celebrate National Library Week. Now therefore, be it resolved that we, Mike Lane, Wendell Kuntz, and Don Supas, Delta County Commissioners, proclaim National Library Week, April 23 through 29, 2023. During this week, we encourage all residents to visit their library and to explore the wealth of resources available. Signed this day, 18th of April, 2023.
Do we need a motion?
Heck yeah, let's make it official.
Good.
Well, I move that we proclaim April 23rd through April 29th, 2023 as National Library Week, and the board signed the proclamation to state that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And while we finish the signatures, the chair would like to recognize Ms. Sue Whittlesey and Ms. Esther Kuntz as our district library board representatives. Esther is actually the chair. So would you please come forward? Sue has prepared a library song for us today. We're going to take a picture of you. You get to stand with me, Mike.
All right, everybody. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for all the work you do on behalf of.
Thank you for coming down.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Simple as that.
your support of libraries. Appreciate that. Appreciate your support of libraries. Appreciate it.
Here you guys go.
Thank you so much.
Did you want a copy of that?
can get you, do you have?
I'll go pick
yeah,
it
that would be.
I'll just go
great.
myself.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Riley, come back anytime.
Kevin Cannon, you're next. So while they get that copy, we're gonna move on. Next is board's consideration discussion of award for 2023 RFP 07 for the full body scanner. Good to see you here today.
Thank you, guys. How are you guys today?
Good.
Good. We were awarded a grant for the purpose of purchasing a body scanner for the detention facility. We had 3 bids come in. One obviously came over bid, one came under, and one came just slightly over. The undersheriff reached out to Tech 84, which was the company we had been looking at. I met with, and they were able to get us a new updated quote at exactly what the grant that we received. So we would like to move forward with the Tech 84 machine. Not only have they been good to work with and talk to, they came down, they presented their machine to us. But it's gonna fit our needs and exactly where we want to put it in our facility. We're gonna put it between door 12 and 13 as you guys come into the elevator, that area there. We're gonna put it there because, you know, with the remodel coming eventually, instead of having to take it all the way upstairs, tear it down, bring it back down, we're just gonna put it right there and scan everybody through as before they come into the jail. What this is gonna do is this is gonna help us catch the contraband coming into the facility. Even with strip searches, we have found that we can't catch everything. We had an incident where we actually strip searched an individual and he still got stuff in, handed it to another individual who OD'd, and we ended up having to Narcan him and save his life. So we're finding out that our strip searches these guys are finding out new ways to get the stuff in. So I reached out to our GBBS individuals that we work with in the jail, and you know, this is the plan we came up with, is to apply for this grant. Weren't sure we were gonna get it, but we were awarded the grant, so I'm glad that that went through for us, and we'd like to move forward and get the okay from you guys to with Tech 84 to make this purchase. And I do have a layout of the machine itself, so you guys kind of know how big it's gonna be if you guys would like to see that.
Certainly. Do you need a hand?
Very big, so it's gonna make it nice.
So the footprint's actually small.
That's exactly how big that machine's gonna be.
Oh, fantastic.
As far as the radiation coming off of this, it's just right around the machine, so nobody's gonna be exposed to any kind of radiation, anything like that we have to worry about. And then we'll be in the process of coming up with policies and procedures and all that stuff to go forward and using it. And they'll come down, they'll train everybody on it. We'll have a couple that will be what they call train the trainers, so that way when we get new staff that comes on board, those individuals can train them on the machine. And
Good, exciting.
Questions for Captain?
So it's like a big X-ray machine?
yeah, it's a big X-ray machine. I have a brochure here that I can show you guys. I'm not sure if you guys have one or not. But I'll show you exactly everything that they come in with contraband.
So similar what they got at the airport then.
Yeah, very similar.
Okay.
So once this is awarded, how soon before this is in place and functioning?
I think they said 4 to 6 weeks. As soon as we give them a call and say that it's been awarded yet, it's 4 to 6 weeks. That they'll come down, they'll have it shipped, and then they'll set it up and start training us.
Fantastic.
And the warranty's 3 years, 36,000 miles type of thing.
I think we're gonna have a 1-year warranty included, and then after that, we'll just have to budget for the warranty every year like we do with all of our other maintenance contracts.
They do offer a service agreement then?
Yes.
Okay.
Other questions for the captain? What would be the will of the board today?
I'll move that the board approve RFP 07 to Tech 84 Incorporated out of Poway, California for the amount of $140,500.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, Captain.
They did give us an updated quote, so it's actually gonna be 139.
139. Okay, very
I
good.
have
Thank
that
you.
here if you guys would like.
We should, Terry should have, okay.
So Commissioner Supas, did you want to amend your motion to show 139 versus 140?
Actually, no, I don't, because we're actually approving the RFP and the RFP came in at the 140,500.
When that gets up and running, would you please let us know? We'd like to come see it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
You bet, thank you.
Next, we have board's consideration, discussion, possible award 2023 RFP 11. Who's here on that one?
I do have the recommendation from my IT.
Okay.
So IT has reviewed the submittals, and they are recommending that the Board of County Commissioners move forward with Valcom after they have interviewed and visited with the companies that submitted bids.
We have two options and then
You have 2 bids from Valcom. One for 200.
Obviously, the cheap one.
Okay, let me double check with John Latta. All he indicated was the company name, so let me check with him and we'll get
we'll
back.
come back to this
Yeah.
one. then.
Why don't we take a 5-minute break if that'll work?
Sure.
Give Robbie a chance. Okay.
We're gonna recess for 5 minutes. We're back. We're gonna pick up agenda item number 3 again.
After additional consulting with IT, then it's Valcon is the vendor. Option 1 is the alternative for their recommendation.
I'll move that the board approve RFP 11, 2023 to go to Valcom out of Salt Lake City with their option 1 for $200,973.86.
I second that.
Any other questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So done. Next item we have is consideration for appointment of Ron Hayes to the Delta County Board of Adjustments.
I was the one that contacted Ron and asked if he wanted to be on the Board of Adjustments. He thought it over overnight and decided that there is a position that he would accept. So I move that we appoint Ron Hayes to the Delta County Board of Adjustment.
I'll second that motion.
Any other comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Apologies, Chair, and I don't have any of that in front of me, but I'm wondering if there's an appointment for a certain term. I think those are 3-year terms. If
I believe
remember
you're
right.
correct.
They are 3-year terms, and so this would be replacing Brent Hilling.
Okay. Any other questions on that, folks? We're gonna move into service awards. We got everybody looks like they're here. I don't think who we're missing.
I'm missing one from my office wall.
Okay, let's
I'll try to
do
get it.
the warrants real quick then.
Let's do warrants real quick then.
You ready, Mike? You want me to?
I'll do it. I move the approve the warrants from the various funds paid by warrants numbers 147373 through 147652 and ACH transaction 461-469 from March 14th, 2023 through April 10th, 2023, totaling $1,102,127.85 in accounts payable and $1,565,079.06 in monthly county human services and health department March 2023 payroll for items budgeted and approved per Delta County policy.
Second the motion.
Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let the bills be paid. Also finish signing those afterwards. John, you got somebody coming?
I think she's on her way.
Quinn's not gonna make it.
Okay.
That's the whole cruise.
All right.
Well, it is the commissioner's great pleasure to recognize our employees for their terms of service and dedication to Delta County and the citizens here. As I call out your name, would you please come forward? Quinn Archibek is not here, so we're going to skip him. But as Ron Haney, Andrew Mendoza, Andra, 10 years, Karen O'Brien, 15 years. Here's one, John Allen, 25 years. He's not here. Karen Nittler, 30 years, and Mr. Devin Violet, 35 years. Devin, you got the great opportunity to get your picture taken with Mike. Please step
on over in here. Head towards Mike.
Head towards Mike.
Head towards Mike. Go ahead.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And we'll take your picture too.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you guys all want to crowd.
35 years.
Oh, wait.
Okay, now Andre, you got a smile.
You gotta come in.
Don, we've been working on that.
That's the first one I've ever seen, right there.
That's because you're always talking to me.
I know.
Andra.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Good.
I guess I see you this afternoon.
It's our staff that makes life easy for us. You guys do a great job. And your dedication here to the county is incredible and we truly appreciate it. So thank you all very much.
Yes, thank you.
John.
You tried.
Yeah, we're gonna make him stand
You
next to
tried.
Don.
You're close.
did it. We're so proud of you.
You gotta stand here next to Don.
Take the day off.
Hey, don't leave.
Oh, don't leave.
You guys coming on back?
Yeah, let's do another picture. John's here. We gotta do another picture. I gotta see you smile for the third time.
Scoot on in, guys.
Scoot on. I can see you on top.
Try and get you on twice. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Oh, you get a roll. Look at this.
You didn't get it.
Oh, no.
We'll save it next time.
Congratulations.
See you, John. See you, Deb.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Okay, picking up where we left off here. We had a new agenda item, a resolution for project manager at Blake Field.
Right, so we have the grant award letter, and this, then the resolution requires the signature. So the grant award then, grant amount from the state of Colorado is for $123,750 with a local match of $13,750. And the expiration date on this is June 30th, 2026. This is for work at Blake Field. And so the resolution then would designate the project director in approving the grant agreement. So that's what you have before you in the resolution.
Excuse me, I think that the chair would also need to sign the signature page for the grant itself.
Correct.
Sorry, if you said that. I just-
No, that's all right. Thank you.
And was that updated, Robbie, to represent Scott's name?
Correct. So Scott Sheets will be the project director
We don't know this.
On the grant,
on the
on the
grant.
grant form itself as well? Or only on the resolution?
On the resolution.
Okay, so the
Yeah.
grant language needs to be updated as well.
Okay. So we will get Tim to update that and get for you all to sign.
So we'll go ahead and go through this as amended. then?
You have the resolution language.
Yeah.
What resolution number are we?
09.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that the board approve resolution 2023-R-09, a resolution designating a project director and approving the grant agreement for your work at the Blake Field Airport.
I second that.
Any questions, discussion?
And so we'll
Yeah, well-
update we need to,
And I'll make a motion to
Okay.
update that
All right.
after we do the resolution.
okay, thanks.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, secondarily, I'd like to make a motion that the board give the chairman approval to sign the grant application. The grant is for $123,750. Once again, this is for work at Blake Field Airport.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So we'll get that later today. That's, thank you, gentlemen. That is the end of our regular agenda. I'm gonna go ahead and read the jail reports.
For commissioner business, we still have human services, 9:30.
Yeah, 9:30.
Okay, yeah.
Jail reports, this is for Sunday, April 9th, 2023. Male inmates 41, female inmates county jail 9. Male inmates Department of Corrections 3, female inmates Department of Corrections 0. Total of 53. Average for the week of April 2 through April 9 was 58.32. For Sunday, April 6, 2023, Delta County Detention Facility population. Male inmates county jail 37, female inmates county jail 11. Male inmates Department of Corrections 3, female inmates Department of Corrections 0 for a total of 51. Average inmate population April 9 through April 16 was 56.55. We will recess then till 9:30, where we'll pick up with Human Services and Director Annie Gallegos. We ready? Well, I have 9:30. We're back on record. This is April 18th, 2023. We have Human Services, Annie Gallegos, and all your team here.
Hello, good morning. So we will start with the financials from Lori and Leona. Here's report first, I think. Yeah.
Here's a phone call with my second one.
It's pretty standard. There's a few additional trainings that we did, I think staff trainings on there.
The grant we had received last year to fund 4 therapists in the community for a year-long certification process of PCIT, which is parent-child interaction therapy. They will go through that certification process, which takes a year, and then they're guaranteed to stay in the community for another year or two after that. And so we received that grant, so that's paid out as that began this year.
I'm sorry, I lost track. Are we on the spreadsheet yet, or is that just a
Nope, just on
discussion on the
the
grant?
table so far.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
she's.
I'm sorry, I thought there was an error, but I keep seeing these DID things and I'm like, oh, we haven't got. Anyway, the one change we made in February is we moved Haley from out of child welfare, out of APS and into direct common support admin. And so the effect of that is already shown in February. The grand enrollment sampling cost from child welfare went from 57,000 in January down to 33,000 in February. So that's going to help child welfare out. And as long as I've been here, we've never overspent our common support. I mean, even with Lori doing that, we've never overspent in common support. We've always underspent. So better to use that money in the admin function for Haley. And it's easier for her. She doesn't have to track her time. The state divvies it out accordingly to caseloads and other random enrollment sampling.
So we can put more on her plate since she's saving that time.
I don't think she even has an empty plate in her office.
And I think we did receive an increase in common support in our
Yes.
allocation this year too.
Yes,
So
so
that'll
that
help.
makes total sense to move her out of there and into there.
Very good.
But otherwise, and I do on the first sheet, it says down there should be 16.67 through January, that should say February. And they are at a whole, for county calendar at 16.68. They're right on.
We do still are predicting that we're going to be over allocation in child welfare, but we're working with the state through mitigation and funding that way. They're continuing to tell us we should be made whole, but.
And they have some TANF reserve, child welfare is allowed to use up to 10% of that at the end of the year too. So,
And that's still mostly placement costs.
Mhm.
Okay.
What's the order of magnitude on the over allocation?
So we went over last year by a couple $100,000. I would bet it's probably going to be that, but doubled this year. The amount of placements have continued to increase, the cost increases. There's also an unexpected cost that counties are facing with the PRTF placements. So really the highest level of placement. Some counties are being charged for that. The state's hoping to mitigate some of those costs to counties, but there's counties smaller than us that, are incurring $160,000 in that right now. So for placement costs. So we're looking at that, but that's the recommended level for those kids at that time. And so there's not an option to say, no, we're not going to place that child there.
Most of those are court ordered, is that correct?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's not our choice. It's
Right. And then the mental health provider's recommended level of care. So Rocky Mountain does that independent assessment to determine that level of care as well. So it's not just a unilateral decision for child welfare or the court either. So.
Now, as far as placement, you're talking foster homes too?
Yes, I mean, so all of our costs for placement do include foster homes, group home care, facility care, which is the QRTP, Qualified Residential Treatment Facility, and then the PRTF, which is the highest level of care, which provides for basically therapeutic services round the clock for those kiddos.
Do we have enough foster homes?
No, We
No?
never do.
Never do?
We never do. You know, I think that there's a shortage that has occurred for several years. The hardest part for us is because of the size of our community. That means that most kids that are going to foster placement are going outside of our community. We have kids that were placed in the Durango area. We have kids that were placed in Ophir. We had kids placed in Mesa County. And that's hard for not only the kiddo to go into placement, but they also leave their community and all their natural supports.
What about Hope in the Home? Are you getting referrals from them for foster?
Yeah, I think they have like 3 homes licensed right now, and we have placements in their homes.
But they're a new organization.
Okay, moving on, we did the restructure to the self-sufficiency unit. So Lori and myself and Krista and Michelle sat down and went through what really that unit needed, as so many changes have come through and impacted our ability to provide services, but then the demand of what the state is asking of us. For example, they asked for us to submit a plan in March for quality assurance and how that was going to be done with case reviews in-house. And then they're looking for that position to also do almost like an in-house state trainer. You have to become certified by the state to do that, but basically they're looking for those to be housed within counties. So that was going to push our structure from the program manager and having 2 leads and then having more generalists. We broke down what the needs were currently. And so we came up with our new plan. If you guys saw that. And so we're building in, instead of having the lead positions, we're transitioning to a supervisor position, 3 supervisor positions, 2 teams. We'll still keep the generalist for the eligibility technicians, but the QA and trainer supervisor will be over the front desk and then do those initial, as those eligibility technicians come in, they'll do that initial training and then they'll move to teams as they go. So that's kind of the structure we're moving towards, and we're completing the, Lori's finishing up the last of the job descriptions so we can get those posted, and then internally candidates can apply. So that's our plan. Do you have any questions about that?
Do we have enough staff to fill these, or are we gonna have to add staff to make this plan work?
This is with the staff we have now.
Okay,
So there's no additional staff.
very good.
Yep. We still have the PHE staffing that's available to us. 1 is a position, and then 1 we're using for overtime. So we assume that's probably going to continue for a little bit longer. That's what they keep saying. So we'll see, but it wouldn't have necessarily any huge effect on this for us, the way we've been utilizing it.
We just hired 1 new eligibility technician last couple of weeks ago. And then we have some interviews again we have 1 more position.
3 interviews today.
So this reorganization, this new structure, will this be better for your department and staff and the clients who serve, or is this just churn?
I think it's better for everyone. So inside the organization, I think it provides for a good structure of a direct line of a supervisor and trainer, and then oversight for like the program manager as new rules are coming in, because they're coming in at a rate that's just significant enough that you can't have your program manager carrying a caseload. And so that we need to minimize that piece, and we need to build a structure of growth so that we have eligibility techs that can grow into a 1, a 2, and a 3, and then grow into potential supervisor positions. So it creates that growth internally while providing that structure for them. But then it also allows for the community to receive services, I think, in a way that, you know, they have layers, so that if an eligibility tech isn't there, they have a direct supervisor who they can go to. We've always had the tech of the day available for phone calls, but sometimes, especially when there's questions about SNAP coming in or questions about why aren't we answering the phone, you know, they've got a direct contact to a supervisor and a program manager. So we're developing out more in a structure that aligns with the state, but aligns with responsiveness, I think. I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Well, just with the supervisors, the 2 supervisors under the eligibility program manager, we are looking to make them kind of a specialist in a particular program, so long-term care, maybe TANF, just so we have that specialization for that. And then if we do have anybody needing specific, have specific questions or anything, then they are kind of geared towards this. This would be kind of our more difficult programs.
As a go-to.
As a go-to, and then we're hoping to use them too as a community, kind of their liaison.
Yes, I forgot about that. So we had met with pretrial services as well to look at a potential for one of those supervisors being a liaison for other agencies that have individuals that they need or need to connect to resources or provide resources for. And so they'd have a go-to to find out what potential, what are the next steps for those individuals and connect with them, help them getting applications and verifications and such.
And the certified trainer,
Mhm.
who's going to be filling that role?
We don't know yet. We'll have to see who applies. But essentially, they would go through, training that we have in-house, but essentially the state would be providing that certification of their qualified level of a trainer in-house. So we would have them go through that process,
Thank you.
which hopefully would speed up the amount of time it takes to get an eligibility tech trained. Because sometimes that can take a long time when you're completely dependent on the state training. And so if you have that in-house, could that possibly, fast forward that process? So that's a hope.
That's been a challenge for a long time, so hopefully,
Hopefully that'll help.
very good.
Alrighty, the next piece, the state released some funds related to the homelessness initiative grants. And they put them out to all the counties to look at potential for applications in two different process. One was something like an in-house funded position, and the other one was a navigator position in which you could collaborate with other entities. So I reached out to Hilltop and the city of Delta, who is already really trying to initiate this work. And we submitted an application and we were awarded that. There's an intent to award us $115,000 to fund a housing navigator grant. That person would be would be brought up by Hilltop, but housed within Hilltop, but work with the city and county to navigate the unhoused in the county as a whole. So they would partner with what the city's initiatives are currently, and then be able to also try and bring some of those initiatives and support and outreach to the county. Hilltop has seen an increase in unhoused individuals needing help and veterans in the North Fork. And so that's a targeted population that they would be working with. And so we have the intent to award, and so our ask today would be that the board approve our ability to initiate the grant and move forward with the navigator position and collaborating with Hilltop for that.
Any questions on what Annie just presented there for this board to approve?
So I mean, this letter's pretty vague
Yes.
from the state. We've had, the state's thrown so much money at homelessness. And it seems like they're just throwing money at the problem, not necessarily throwing a solution.
Sure.
Do we have any concept of a solution here, or what are our targets that we're trying to achieve?
So we have a scope of work that we're completing and will be completed by the end of this month. And that is the state, Hilltop and us, creating that piece, who our targets are going to be, what that's going to look like. We will be bringing the city in also to those conversations so that we're matching kind of their need as well to help support their initiative. And so the statement of work and all of those things will be completed by the end of the month. But I think the piece is to fund, the essential scope of work is to fund a position that will go out into the community, build information on individuals that need that assistance, provide outreach, provide case management, and then navigate what housing options between what the counties or cities or resources can provide, and try to provide in a way, not only just the resource, but also a case management and follow them to ensure that they're not just hearing about it one time and then not knowing where to go from there. So they have a contact on a regular basis.
I think as long as we're trying to find a way to house these people, you know, I talked to quite a few of them that hang out around our campus here. And most of them have no intention of ever being housed. I mean, they're looking for some way to, you know, sustain their current lifestyle on the street. And, you know, it's not even really an option. I do talk to, you know, it seems like especially the women that get, you know, homeless for one reason or another. I mean, I do feel that they are looking for that housing, and I'd like to see if we could focus on a lot of the women, because they're the ones that suffer the abuse out here on the streets. We've seen it out here in the homeless camp, the abuse that took place.
And I think a part of that work is discovering where their natural supports are and how they got here. Are they originally from here? And if they're not, what does that look like? And are there options and family support options that they just haven't navigated for a while because of, you know, whether it's shame or vulnerability or concern, and what are the strengths we can focus on that they already have, and what are strengths we can build coming from the service provider. So I think it's a collaboration.
I'm amazed at how many of them I talk to that they're just passing through the area. They're on their way to Denver, they're on their way to Colorado Springs or something. They're just passing through the area. They like it here and they stay a few weeks. But they you know, they're trying to get someplace else. It seems most of the ones that I talk to here, so.
Yeah, and you know, I think in both program areas for CPS and APS, we have encountered families, moms, you know, and that struggle with homelessness and end up in cars, end up living with friends and couch surfing. So I think that that's also a population that we can target as, you know, what is the definition of unhoused mean? That it may not be just on, you know, on a curb or in the homeless shelter, but could be just couch surfing with friends.
Try
How
to,
can we help support that?
that's a really good idea. Try to catch the ones that are just on the verge of being on the curb, so, yeah.
Okay, so this grant, this will fund this navigator position for 1 year? How's that work? long term?
That's what we see so far. We don't know going forward what that would look like. I know, you know, the homelessness is, like you said, is one of the governor's, I think he calls it his WIGs, his really important goals, wildly important goals. But, you know, I think that that's where we know so far is that it would last for about a year. And I don't know if there's an intention to move forward with it. There already are housing navigators that were housed under Hilltop, but this would grow that program to allow, and they've actually partnered with Montrose as well. So ours would cover Delta County, but they also partnered with Montrose for the same grant for navigator in Montrose County as well.
Didn't sound like the grant would be hard to administer.
No, not for me.
I do think this is an action item.
Yes. And that being said, I will move that the board approve Delta County's application for or application approval for the Colorado Department of Human Services Inaugural Homelessness Initiatives Grant for the amount of $115,000.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there any signatures, anything else needed there?
I don't have any currently. I will probably, once we finish the scope of work and the purchase order comes through, then that's a piece that we would bring back to the board
Let
once
us
it's
know.
completed. Alrighty, the next piece was in the fall of 2022. We had previously, Matt Jennings and I worked hard on a grant through the Rocky Mountain Health Foundation to address gap coverage with the Medicaid redeterminations and potentially some gaps in services there. They did not award us at that time, and that was fine. And then they recently reached out to us and said, well, how about we hand you $5,000 from your application? And so one of the things we had addressed on that was transportation. And so they did send us that $5,000, and Leona and I are working to determine, we are thinking we want to focus it on the transportation piece that we had, because that's always a barrier, and that looking at all points transit or gas cards and things like that for individuals in our community that struggle with that. So we'll have those available, funds available. The next piece I want to talk about, we did partner with the laboratory for combating human trafficking. And we held that, it's a training that was meant to be delivered to all human services employees. We did outreach to the DA's office, probation, juvenile diversion, anyone who works in community partnership with youth to attend. And so there were others who did attend outside of human services. And it was about a 2-hour training just on bringing awareness and thinking about, even from the front desk to a child welfare worker or an adult protection worker, thinking about, when someone comes in, how their language, questions they ask, how they identify, they don't have any of their documentation, how some of those things can be red flags, and how we could provide resources and information. So we worked with techs on that. I think they really enjoyed the training, and it was pretty eye-opening for them about how even in Delta County, it's here. We've dealt with it in child welfare cases before and currently. And so bringing that awareness to even all of our eligibility technicians and things like that. So I think it was successful, and they hope they're providing it statewide and hope to come back in the next couple of years as well. So
Very good.
I read an article about, human trafficking and how do you ask for help. And they would call dispatch and order pizza. And then they have where do you want the pizza delivered, and give the address. And that was kind of a red flag, if you will, if they need help.
yeah, there's lots of different things like that. We've also put up some flyers and put things on our monitors, and we have some stickers Lori just put up in the bathrooms. They kind of have information just on the mirror in one of our bathrooms. So if someone goes in to use the bathroom and they need assistance. So yeah, it brought up a lot of conversations of maybe have I seen this individual before and not even known that that's what it was, when I was talking to this 19-year-old girl who didn't have her ID, didn't have any of her, birth certificate documentation, had to get it from someone else. And why is that? And just to kind of look at those things and be able to have also pamphlets and resources right there for information, and just opens up the conversation so they know where to go if they need it.
Maybe those stickers are something we should think about in our health department restroom also.
Yeah, that'd be great. I could probably, if Lori, you want to get with them. One of the things I think. Oh, the other thing I wanted to bring up as well, which will include John and his office, unfortunately. Surprise. We had our first jury trial in the dependency neglect case since 9 years. We had that one, and recently we were concerned about how much that would increase. And just as of yesterday's docket, they set 3 more. So we are not sure if all of them will go. We're pretty sure at least 2 of them will go, but that is a trend that I think will continue to increase, and we haven't seen it in 9 years. So I think that's going to dominate a lot of time for John's office as well as ours. The difficulty in that is, timing. And so how that delays the case, delays permanency and services for that family during that time. So, as we're talking about recruitment and retention of employees, and then these highly litigated things that are happening, it's hard, I think, for staff in both offices. So just a thought for us to be mindful of as well. So it's coming.
At the beginning, you said you're still getting a lot of referrals. Is that from the school teachers also?
Yeah, we've stayed, we've dropped a little bit in referrals, but they're steady. We've had, honestly, the most the trend that we're seeing right now is sexual abuse.
Is what?
Sexual abuse.
Holy.
That's the higher trend of referrals that are coming to us right now. Do you want to talk about your fair?
Yes, so we are planning the fair for May 11th, the Child Peace Prevention Fair. We want to do it again in the same location on the side of the building and into the parking lot. We are asking if one of you or all of you could do another proclamation and attend. I'm excited.
I think we'll have more vendors, more space. I think last year Haley did a great job, and so we're excited to see, you know, the providers were saying, hey, we want to be a part of that, so.
What time are you planning on that?
It's 3:30 to 5:30.
Perfect.
It'll be in the afternoon.
Are the bikers coming back? Good.
They were actually at our jury trial too. They came and
Oh,
supported
really?
the kiddo.
How many showed up?
Well, actually, they were at the criminal trial, I'm sorry, the criminal jury trial for it. About five of them came to support the kiddo.
Good.
Yeah. It's really neat to see.
Very good.
We'd be happy to do a proclamation.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
APS is also doing a meet and greet this next month. So we are reaching out to providers and kind of wanting to make sure we're all collaborating agency-wise, but then also start working towards World Elder Abuse Awareness Day in June. And so looking to plan that event as well. So that'll be coming up in the next couple months.
So that meet and greet's on April 27th.
Yes, meet and greets April 27th.
Where will that be and what time?
That's going to be in the Rubidoux room. And so we're going to have breakfast snacks there, and then have APS staff available, but then anyone who wants to join and kind of answer, it's almost like an open house to basically start gathering information about who wants to be a part of these, what their agency does and ours, and just kind of introduce each other and things like that. So
What time, I'm sorry?
that one is, I think it's at 9:30, isn't it?
9:30 to 11:30.
I'll get that one on your calendar.
Both events, May 11th and April 27th. Thank you.
And then with regards to options for long-term care, I think we're still waiting for the RFP. We've been able to see, I think, the agencies that did apply, and so I think we're pretty confident that we were the only agency that applied within our catchment area. And then now, as part of that new system is rolling out, there's parts of that that's going to require Michelle's staff to have CBMS access now and be working on some of in those program areas to match with that. So we need to get them all trained up on that and hopefully go through that security process and get with Lori for access. And so there's just changes happening there, but she's steady. Staff is doing well. So, yeah. But if there's anything else you want to add, go for it. We did initiate some conversations a little bit with Gunnison, and we know that, you know, we had ended having a staff member in Gunnison, and with the increase potentially of the RFP, what would that look like? Would there be a need for that? And we don't know yet. So we've got a lot of time to think about it, but at least there's some conversation potentially about, you know, being open to how do we continually serve that community without being in that community. So we're going to continue to work on that.
Perfect.
I think that's it. Appreciate you guys and all your support and all the events you'll be coming to. We try to plan a little bit, so.
I don't know how you guys do it. Really don't. Yeah, so many
Well,
last
you're
minute.
nice. We don't know how we do it either. We just do.
Well, we're a better community for your guys' work.
Thank you, thank you. And the staff works really hard, and so I'm really thankful for all of that every day. So.
Any other questions?
Well, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Good to see you. That kind of runs us to the end. Lindsay was going to go through our calendar real quick.
Is that okay with the change?
The road and bridge is meeting this afternoon will be here,
No, you
No,
guys
we
had it
did that yesterday.
but it's still on the calendar.
Oh,
It is still on the calendar.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Okay.
we'll move that.
because they had that training today. and-
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna move that from your calendars. The Board of Health meeting today at 3:30.
You're gonna have to speak up a little bit.
Sorry, Board of Health meeting today, 3:30 to 5 p.m. Thursday, coffee with the commissioner with Wendell, 7:30 a.m. at Coltrane in Hotchkiss. And then at 8:30, we have the AGNC legislative call.
Are you guys gonna be on that one?
Should be, yeah.
I don't know. I got an appointment at 9:30 in Cedar Edge, so we'll see.
And I'll be headed to Club 20 in Grand Junction, so
Okay.
whatever you can find out on that land use bill will be very useful.
Friday, April 21st, 9 a.m. We have the flooding VOC work session here in the VOCC room. At 10 a.m. on the 21st, there's a Western Slope Runoff High Water Coordination Call. Takes us to Saturday is the Canine Police Challenge, Police Canine Challenge up at the fairgrounds.
What's the hours for that?
They suggested showing up around 10 and then probably be done around 2. So between 10 and 2 should be the most activity. Monday, the 24th. There is a public safety launch municipal meeting. You guys are welcome to attend. It's more for the heads of the municipalities and different departments to go over what we're launching, a new app that goes along with the Delta County Emergency Alert System. So Delta County Emergency Alerts doesn't have an app. We're going to get an app. They'll talk to each other. That's what this meeting is about. On the April 27th, that's Thursday, again, 8:30 a.m. AGNC legislative calls. The 28th is the planning and BOCC work session for the land use code 1 to 3.
Don't forget, on the 27th at 9:30 was the Adult Protective Services Open House.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll give it a copy. So the 28th, 1 p.m. work session. And that takes us to the end of the month. Yes.
So our next regularly scheduled meeting here will be May 2nd at 8:30.
Yes.
Anything else, gentlemen?
Good.
And we're just waiting to hear about that LUC planning meeting. You said something about it being kind of tentative this morning.
Depending on what happens with the state land use. But we're going to keep it on the calendar for now.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Anything else? Robbie? Ms. Terry? John, did you have anything for us today?
Nothing today, thank you.
Very good. This board to be adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for being here.